Older Brothers present a special news bulletin on the Your Older Brothers network. Your Older Brothers proudly present the news.
Not much has happened since the last time we recorded. The news cycle's been a little dry lately.
It's been so boring.
Yeah, we had this plan in the works a while ago of every now and then let's do an episode where we tell you the real news, because the news cycle is really just meant to kind of like, it's just meant to keep you refreshing. And, you know, things stay in the news cycle longer than they should just because they're kind of exciting or, you know, salacious. Things leave the cycle much faster than they should because maybe they're just not as exciting to the average person, but they really are important. And, you know, we can do a better job of the news.
Oh, absolutely.
So your older brother is going to break it down. We're going to tell you what's really going on out there. We're going to tell you what you should really be paying attention to, starting with Charlie Kirk's fucking head turning into soup. Where were you when this happened?
Oh, dude. So I woke up and I kind of, literally minutes before it happened, I opened Twitter and I was just kind of looking at the news for the day. And I was like, okay, nothing really happening is going on. I made my morning coffee. And then I was like, okay, 10 minutes later, enjoying my coffee, sit down, and I just see footage of his neck exploding. And I'm like, holy fuck, I thought it was AI at first. Because I get something on, like, I think it was Instagram, and it looked like, it was cell phone footage, and it looked really weird. And people who don't know, on Instagram, everybody's posting, like, AI shit now. That looks, like, vaguely real. And I was like, is somebody doing, like, a kind of weird joke?
Yeah.
And I kept seeing it, and I said, oh, no.
It does look, his movement is, like, kind of, it's not what you'd expect based on watching movies where people get shot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because, like, the way people really do you know what that's called? That thing, like spiders do it when they curl up. It's like that thing where when you die, is it rigor mortis or is that something else? Where like when you lose control of your body, there's like that weird kind of twitch and like freezing that happens.
Rigor mortis is when your body becomes rigid, but that doesn't happen immediately. That's like after a little bit. But yeah, in the video, he definitely immediately dies. There isn't a thing of like when Trump got shot in the ear that he's like, oh, I've just been fucking shot in the ear.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm asleep now.
Yeah, the way that his body just like changes immediately. You know what it looks like actually? Do you remember that episode of Family Guy where Peter like he like takes something he's allergic to and then his head like curls and like bloats and turns red immediately?
I don't. I really don't.
If anyone out there listening has heard this, you know what I'm talking about. This is just like a really bizarre like thing. It's like kind of unsettling. It's like, ooh, a human body should not do. It's like The Thing.
Yeah.
It's like a human body should not do that. When you watch that video, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just like the way he moves, the way he freezes, the amount of blood, everything about it just looks like it really stops you. But it's something about it just seems too, it's like, this doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. Growing up, I definitely was browsing 4chan a lot of my youth. And on that website, for people not in the know, I mean, there's tons of just like gore, death footage.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that like edgy kids look at, male and female, surprisingly. And the moment I saw that he got shot, I was just like, oh, I've seen enough of these like cartel execution videos or just like people in Brazil getting shot 100 times for like missing a goal in soccer. Yeah. Where I'm just like, yeah, that's real.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's very real.
It is real.
I think we can agree on that. I think it is very real.
It is real. I remember that I was at my job, and my job involves, it's kind of a classroom setting. A lot of the time I'm orating to a group of people, and I think it was like 1 p.m. I think I remember the time generally.
Yeah, it was like a noon one. Yeah.
It was like sometime around, our thing usually starts around 11, ends around 4 p.m. And I feel like we were getting ready to go on our lunch break, but we were kind of like pausing for a moment. I'm getting like a video ready to show these people. And someone's looking at their phone. They say, Charlie Kirk got shot. And the video wasn't like making the rounds yet. It was just the news of like people just tweeting like Charlie Kirk got shot. And within like 10 minutes, it was probably everywhere. And it was confirmed he was dead pretty quickly. But it was like, you know, he got shot. And everyone's like, whoa. And multiple people in the room went, let's go, and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, guys, come on, like, let's calm down. And there were 2 people in the room that were like just very quiet. And I'm like, well, I'm guessing they're Danny dying in the other room.
Danny, come here, man.
There were 2 people in the room who were like very quiet. And I gleamed pretty quickly, like, okay, they're probably like either fans of his or they're like clearly disturbed by this, but everyone else is like a young person who's going to be like, let's go. Someone I disagree with is dead. This isn't real life.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, guys, let's focus on the thing. We continued talking, went on our break shortly after that. I open up Twitter. First thing I see is the close-up video of his neck exploding. And I was like, oh, he's dead.
Yes.
And it wasn't announced yet he was dead, but I saw the video and I'm like, no.
Yes, it's like he's on the way to the hospital. I'm just like, well, stop that car.
His carotid artery, I think if, I forget, there's no like exact time because it's a range, but if your carotid artery is cut, like if you did like a minor cut, you have like, a minute and a half, 2 minutes or whatever before it's like lights out. Like you have to do something to stop that bleeding right now or you're done. Like even if you had medical attention ready, slim chance you survive.
Yeah.
His fucking artery explodes. The amount of blood I mean, everyone's saying this now, but like, because everyone's heard other people who know about guns or death or whatever, breaking it down. But it's like, you see that video, if you know anything about guns, lights out. He's gone.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit. I wasn't emotionally affected in terms of like, whoa, this person that I know is dead. Like I don't follow, or I guess didn't follow Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
But like, I know who he is. And I was like, this is going to be big.
Yes. It's also that thing where it's like, I feel like a lot of people misinterpret the kind of person he is. I mean, like I said, we won't get like too much into politics stuff, but a lot of people say, oh, he is just a right-wing Nazi. And it's like, if you think that's a Nazi, you are not ready for like the next 10 years.
Right-wing Nazis hate him.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. He protects Israel.
There were videos. I saw videos, I would say probably mostly on Twitter, of people, not that I would say that these people are Nazis, but there were people who were criticizing him, calling him like an Israeli cuck and all this shit, and like not saying he should die, but people who definitely were like, yeah, this is like a completely expendable, captured, like deep state guy. Like he was not popular amongst like far or like alt-right or whatever you'd call it, like far right wingers.
Right.
But it seems that people who are of the opposite persuasion viewed him as like Hitler too. And we're like just so happy he was dead.
Yes. And that's kind of one thing that was maybe the most alarming revelation about this is, I mean, Caleb and I have said worse shit than Charlie Kirk has ever said on this podcast. Like, jokingly, but also really. But it was very alarming to see a lot of people who I was friends with being like, oh yeah, the Nazi is dead. And I'm like, oh, we hung out last week. And well, I mean, not like I was just doubting the 7 million Jews that died in the Holocaust or anything, but yeah, it was just very alarming to see a lot of people be like, oh, he is literally Hitler too. And it's like, you've made a million Hitler twos by like saying that this guy was Hitler.
I want to say something. This might be controversial to people like you, meaning people who aren't reactive. Like I would say that you're not going to be one of those people who's like easily like you just see a headline that says you should hate someone and you just hate them now is what I mean. You know, this might be kind of seem a little stupid, but I don't necessarily blame people who think Charlie Kirk is a Nazi for thinking that, because if you're told that all the time, if you believe the avenues of information if you believe the sources that give you information, like, I don't know if he said this, for instance, but like, let's say he said something like women shouldn't work. And it's like, he's not a dictator who's saying women now will not work. It's just one man's opinion. And maybe he's saying that because he's saying women shouldn't be going to an office every day. They should be doing this kind of job. Or maybe he's saying that instead of having a job, we should have some kind of society where women are either like, if they're not at home with kids, they're doing whatever. I don't know. But like, people just get so mad at hearing like an opinion that isn't theirs. And they're just fed this like, just this crap all day about how like anyone who thinks differently than you is like dangerous, like literally dangerous. So it's like, I don't necessarily blame people for thinking he was a monster because they're being told he's a monster. I blame the people who say that he's a monster for no reason, who like spread this shit, you know?
Yeah. One part of it is ignorance. Danny, come here.
He's getting closer.
Danny, come here. He's so loud in here. Come here, man.
Danny's going to turn the corner with a sniper.
Yo, chill the fuck out, man. You going too hard. One part of it is ignorance because some people aren't maliciously doing it. All the news they consume, even mainstream media, sometimes even like CNN, MSNBC, or Fox will just twist somebody's words so much that, for example, one guy who's just like has an opinion that's, you know, right of center, they'll be like, this is dangerous to our democracy. And then if you fully believe that Anderson Cooper is working in your best interests and his mom wasn't, you know, part of like secret groups.
We've seen the paintings.
Yes, we've seen the paintings. Then if you're ignorant like that, happens to a ton of people we love even, I fully understand why somebody would think that. Now, it's when somebody is actively like misinterpreting their words to like get clicks on YouTube or something. And this also happens to a lot of like right-wing YouTubers where they're just like, stupid libtard SJW cuck Anita Sarkeesian hates gamers. And it's like, well, that's not exactly what she said.
Yeah.
That is when it starts to get like, okay, are people like you and I, Caleb, like going to start getting like shot soon because we make jokes on our podcast?
When you say people like you and I, do you just mean like people who are, because it's not like we're media personalities, but like, do you just mean people who are like, we don't hide our feelings about things?
Yeah, somebody who isn't afraid to make, for example, like an edgy joke or something. Like we haven't like actively called, except for maybe one guy who for their death. But who
could you mean?
Yeah. It's at one point it might become where they're manufacturing consent, where it's like, oh, if you said anything bad in the past, once the next like Democrat president comes into power and the Congress and everything, is it going to be that any time that you've said something bad in the past, you are now like persona non grata, that you're just going to be like,
yeah,
in an extreme case, this isn't going to happen just because like we talk around the N-word.
I think that could happen, but I don't think it's going to be that black and white that quickly. But you never know where things are going with people. But I generally trust that. I think that you can trust the average person is going to want the best for at least like people that they know and relate to. So like people are motivated by their own self-interests, but second to that, they're motivated by like what's best for their family. And I think that generally people are not going to be able to like if you're a young kid who can be very cynical and like celebrate that this man got shot, you're not thinking about the future. If you're like someone who has like an investment in society, you have kids or whatever, or like you contribute to society, like you're probably, I hope you're smart enough to not become like a radical people who don't think the way I think should die kind of person. And if most people aren't thinking that way, it's going to be really hard for society to go that way. So I don't think it's necessarily that like we're going to be in danger, but I do think it's troubling that there isn't, I mean, there's a big pushback on people celebrating Kirk's death, but I think it's a bad sign that it's not as big as it could be for how bad this is and for what a bad thing this is for like just society. I think it is a bad sign how many people are happy about it and not, people who aren't young kids.
Yeah.
People who are like, you should be at the point where you should see the problems with this, The
most insane thing that happened of it is afterwards, a lot of like, right-wing people were looking at every like Facebook post, Twitter post, Blue Sky, which had a lot of these posts, where people were saying like, oh, I'm so glad Charlie Kirk died or something, and just like doxing them, getting them fired from their jobs. Because like, hey, this employee who worked the drive-thru at Popeyes, said that he's glad Charlie Kirk died, and they're just like, we have terminated our contract with this employee. And from what I can tell, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who have been affected that way by like 4chan autists, just like tracking down everybody, looking like from the reflection of the sun in their glasses to find where their apartment is.
Like the Shia flag.
Yes. Oh my God. That was the He Will Not Divide Us Shia LaBeouf flag, where they tracked the planes like flying in the air.
Something.
And they're just like, you're in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then some guy drove around honking a horn with the live stream open, and they're just like, you're close. And it was just some field in like rural Tennessee.
Yeah.
I don't know really how you can come back from something like this without some like mediation at gunpoint for the whole world, like metaphorically speaking, because it's like, if he was considered by people on the right as a moderate, but he's considered by people on the left as some, Joseph Goebbels Nazi, then it's like, how do you really find common ground? And also, first of all, it wasn't like he was like Richard Spencer, who is a literal white nationalist.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like, part of like, the Wagner group, like literally just like killing people. He was a guy who's like, I'm going to debate like, college kids on the campus.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most like mundane thing to kill somebody over. Yeah. Like, he was just rude, like, if anything. And you died because of that. It's like, Caleb, you and I have been rude to people our entire lives. It's probably saying worse things than he ever did.
I'm rude to people who deserve it. And I guess you could say that Charlie Kirk, he's like, who's the cunt? He does the same thing as Kirk, but he's not Charlie Kirk.
Oh, Steven Crowder. That closeted homosexual.
Yeah. He's like, he's so like smug and just like obnoxious that like, even if you agree with every thought he has, it's just hard. If you're like a self-respecting man, you can't watch him be like this. Yeah. Like I would if I could, right?
Seriously.
With Charlie Kirk, like post his death, people posted all these clips of him, and a lot of them coming, at least the ones I've seen, were coming from videos of him debating people on colleges. And like, I don't know. If you disagree fundamentally with everything he thinks, then maybe what he's saying is like really bothersome to you if you think he has some kind of like major sway. Maybe he does. Maybe he was a really big thought leader amongst young people, more than you can quantify. But like, if you're watching what he's saying and you're getting like insanely mad at it, you either have in my opinion, a misunderstanding of how much influence he has, or you have a major misunderstanding about what the average person really thinks and feels. Because he doesn't really argue for anything that isn't just kind of like what average, like conservative, not even like politically conservative, just like the way some people are just like kind of like, conservative in terms of like I had a political science teacher explain this, and it always stuck with me. He said that like liberalism is believing that changing something, the outcome of changing something, is worth the cost of, the cost of changing it, basically. And that people who are conservative are like, conservatism is like believing that keeping something the way it is ultimately more worth it than the cost of changing it. Like, that's really all it is.
Yeah. Change versus like, status quo is the big thing. Yeah.
And everybody has conservative and liberal opinions, not just politically, but about pretty much anything, because you in your personal life have beliefs about whether or not something should stay how it is or change. And we're all evolving. So like, if you really think that he was that crazy, you probably just haven't known that many people who are kind of even keeled. Because I think everybody has conservative and liberal beliefs about certain things. I think if you are celebrating his death, you were just told that he was a Nazi and you just believed it because it sounds so hacked. It sounds so boomer to say, but I think it's just because you're on social media and it's what you've been told your whole life. He really was not. He didn't deserve to die.
No.
He's not Hitler. And his beliefs are beliefs that like tons of people I've known have had. It's just like normal like Christian talk.
And even like alternatively, like I'm trying to think of somebody on the left who I think is like, just like provocative, not calling like for violence, but like let's say Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker, I guess you and I agree, is not great. We don't agree with him. I don't think that I think that Hassan Piker is closer to like a Crowder. Like he's kind of a dipshit and he's kind of like he does like call for violence and things. And he says, you know what I mean? He crosses the line. He does.
For sure.
He did say we deserve 9/11, which is funny because he's Turkish. And it's like, what do you mean we?
It's like, hang on a minute, bro.
Wait a minute. Your uncle runs the Young Turks and that's why you became famous.
Maybe I guess Sam Cedar.
Sam Cedar. Yeah. Okay, sure. Let's do that as an example then. I mean, even Hassan Piker, I don't want him dead.
No.
I disagree with a lot of stuff he says, and I think he's a hack, and he doesn't deserve his career. But it's like, if one of my friends was like, hey, I'm going to go shoot Hassan Piker, I would call the police and be like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, do not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those weird things where it's like you're kind of learning how many people in your life are just like okay with like killing people that slightly disagree with them.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit alarming. So yeah, I kind of did see how many people in my life had an IQ one standard deviation below normal.
You could argue that that's one reason why this new PTA film won boner after another. Yeah. You could argue that movies like that maybe are going to be good for society because at least they kind of exemplify that violence is icky.
Yeah.
Even when it's against people who maybe have bad opinions.
Man, I mean, not to put like too much of like, what do you would call it? Not to like put us in the limelight, be like, oh my God, look at how bad it's going to be for us. But if he is just like talking to people on a college campus and we're not doing that, we're just making like, edgy jokes on a podcast. I mean, if it gets worse, I mean, it will be a point where people like us would just be, in the eyes of normies, fair game because we were rude or mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people that are going to easily believe that, like, that very well may be true. But people who are going to think that, or if they're going to think that, those people, there's no talking to them.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Nick. I've been to college, okay? I've been in dorm rooms with these people. I've been at parties where these people are having a drink and talking about what they really think.
Yeah.
No amount of being a nice, playing by the rules white boy is going to get them to like you. Okay. If you're talking to these people who think that if you're like a little off the beaten path, you deserve to die, no amount of being nice is going to make them change their mind. They don't view you as human. They view you as some kind of like weird Hitler that's like going to like it's going to make it illegal for them to have an abortion that they're probably not going to need anyway. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, you're not, and I say abortion specifically because like that is a thing that I've had like yelled at me where I'm like, I didn't say actually one word about abortion.
And they just bring that up immediately. And it's just like, really? I mean, I understand that is like literally the like, you know, if somebody's a single issue voter, abortion is pretty high up. Same with like economy and like, you know, gun rights and everything. And
I would say abortion's probably number one. Yeah.
Abortion, immigration probably are like the two like contention points where it's just like, which one matters more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't want to live in a world where there are 300 million castles in the United States where everybody just has like firearms and they're ready to just like kill anybody that hits their Ring doorbell. But I really don't know how you can actually make yourself safe. It's like, unless you, I mean, I'm surrounded by multiple firearms right now. It's like, seriously.
There are so many weapons in this room.
There's a ton. Caleb's not, yes, literally.
But you need where you are, by the way, you kind of need them.
Yes. Where I live, I need to have a weapon at the ready.
Yeah.
Where I live in Washington State, our beautiful state.
Where you live, you could be peacefully asleep and it's go time 20 seconds later.
Oh, absolutely. I need to go Navy SEAL on my neighbors. I'm half joking with that, but seriously. Yeah, I don't want everybody to
Danny?
Yeah, the outcome that I really don't want is everybody just like, you know, putting up their guard and making like every encounter like a possible threat. Mm-hmm. I don't want that like threat perception because it's not really a way to live with just all that stress on you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the best case scenario would like live in communities where everybody's like, you know, thinking the same as you. I mean, not an ethno state or anything.
Like communities where everyone is just like you.
Or yeah, communities where everybody has the same phenotypes and came from the same countries. No. People that are just like-minded, honestly.
Similar values.
Yeah. But then again, you also run the gambit of creating areas that are just like completely like, for example, it's like, you know, the Troubles in Ireland. Now their solution to that was just like Catholic and Protestant neighborhoods where it's like, if you're a Catholic, it's basically like a no-go zone and vice versa. It's like, I don't want that. I don't want like a hard border between parts of the state. Like, you know, people don't know Washington is kind of like an East and West, like liberal versus conservative type deal. Mm-hmm. I don't want there to be like a thing of like, oh, you're driving into liberal town now.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to be on your guard that like some blue hair is going to kill you.
It feels very weird when you go into like extremely politically charged areas for one belief, whatever you call that, you know, ethno belief states.
Sure.
When I was an Amazon driver, there was a neighborhood in Kirkland that I would deliver to. And I don't think I'd ever spent 1 second in Kirkland not as an Amazon driver. And there was this neighborhood I went to that had like just tons of Trump flags everywhere. And this was during the 2020 election season.
Okay.
You know, height of COVID. It was like very, you know, weird times. And I was like, I mean, this is silly, but I was like very conscious of like, okay, don't play like rap music here because they might think you're some kind of like lib cuck and shoot you. Because people that I worked with got guns pointed at them. Like people are crazy. You know, Amazon drivers go through hell.
They really do. They really do. Unironically, I had to carry a firearm when I was an Amazon driver, and technically you're not supposed to. But what is it called? The statute of limitations is probably up by now.
Isn't that 7 years?
Who fucking cares? I did because I had to deliver in some of the worst areas in Washington.
Yeah.
But
anyway, yeah. When you're in an area where you're like, oh, everyone here thinks the same, and specifically thinks the same, like in terms of like in terms of viewing which Americans are the enemy, it's a creepy feeling.
Yes. And
I think that generally speaking, like what I was saying before about how humans are, like people make that argument, like, are humans intrinsically good? It's a stupid question because good, it's like, well, it depends what circumstances you're in, you know. But the thing of like that I was saying before about how humans are probably like, I hope, or at least I want to trust that most of them, at least ones that have a skin in the game, are going to be generally level headed about like live and let live and, you know, fostering the health of their community and which ultimately serves them and their own family and their own self-interest. On that note, I know a lot of people, especially ones that I've met at my current job, because my job employs a lot of college students, and it's also a high turnover job. Super. So I'm meeting new people all the time in my job. And, you know, they're all young people for the most part. I know a ton of people that I'm on really good terms with that I know that if they met me through this podcast, let's say, they would have the opposite opinion of me.
Oh, yeah.
They would see me as someone who is like dangerous. They would see me as someone who is, they would say problematic. They would say that I'm, what do you call it? I don't know the word for this, but you know, they'd have a term for it, but they'd say that I give like too much credence to like dangerous ideas. And it's like, but I don't talk politics or anything even close to that with them. And I don't try to, because like, you know, it's like that Tim Dillon joke of like, you go home and half the family's like healthcare, and half the family's like immigration. And then you're at the table like lizard interdimensional beings. Like, you know, that's kind of how I feel. Like, it's like, I don't even bother trying to talk politics because it's like, it's going to take me half an hour to even explain my positions, you know? Yeah. But it's like, I know that there are a lot of people that who consider me a friend, or like at least like a good acquaintance, or like just at least a fun person to be around or whatever, or they laugh when I talk and it's like they enjoy my company. I know that they would have like hatred for me if they heard my unfiltered thoughts. You know, and it's like, I don't deserve to be hated for that.
Yes, exactly. Like when I was in high school, we talked about this in an earlier episode, is I had a Twitter account that was kind of controversial. And I would post edgy shit. And some of the people who I didn't know at school but found out about it and then met me later is just like, you're nothing like what you post. You're actually very nice. Or they would enjoy my time. Yeah, exactly. That was Caleb's first impression of me. Is like, he's just like, who's this edgy asshole? He's just like posting, probably a bad person. And he's like, oh. It's just like, yeah, I volunteer. I've donated to charities before. It's like, you know, I'm active in my community. I have friends on multiple sides. And it's very funny. I feel like the edgiest people in some ways are kind of the best people to be around because they have an outlet for it. Meanwhile, if on either side of the aisle, you're trying to be like, you know, either this staunch conservative or this like uptight, you know, liberal, at some point you're just going to break and become like the worst person ever. Not to say that there's somebody who's posting online terrible stuff who is terrible. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's, you know, outliers, but yeah, I feel like you need to have an outlet to be normal. And if it's that like I don't want to say like Catholic repression, but that kind of like, if you're not like being your true self, that makes you a worse version of yourself. Yeah,
isn't that Jungian kind of theory? Like you have your inner, like the shadow. I don't understand psychology that well, but I was taught by a Harvard professor. That's true, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I did Running Start. Oh yeah. And there was a professor who normally taught at Harvard whose husband was in the Navy, and they were stationed in our town for a year. And so she was just working at our community college somehow. Shit, yeah. Okay. She could have been lying, but she seemed brilliant. I believed her. And she was Asian.
That makes sense.
And she was a very cool teacher, and it was like psychology 101. It's like, I just need a credit. But I learned a lot, and she was like just very good. Just very good at articulating like complicated ideas. And I remember a little bit of what I learned, and the Jungian theory, as far as I remember about the shadow, is that like we all have the shadow is just an analogy for like we all have our unconscious driver, that thing that's inside of us that is trying to correct something from our past that we thought was unjust or unfair, whatever. And if we're conscious of it and we try to reject it, it's naturally going to make you kind of act out because you're ignoring this like need that you have to fix something in your life, to level out something that's not level. And if you embrace it, and you only focus on it, you'll destroy your life by becoming obsessed with the thing. So the point is to try to integrate your shadow with your whatever conscious self, you know, to be aware of your issues, to be aware of those things that you feel like you need to do, and to let yourself pursue those, but in like a controlled way. That was like Jung's theory on like how to, you know, successfully thrive mentally or whatever. Okay. And it seems like social media to a degree, YouTube to a degree, news, all of these things kind of, and maybe all of them, if you're consuming all of them, adding up, become much more powerful. All these forces are kind of like, they're telling you there's a certain thing outside that if you went outside, you wouldn't necessarily see it that way. Yeah. And if you're inside and you're just kind of like taking all this information, you're just like spiraling in your head. And then like, you're either becoming the full embracing of the shadow, and you're becoming the like radicalized person, or you're becoming the black pill, like doomer, like society's over, I'm going to kill myself, or go out and shoot others. And, a lot of people who've done mass killings, you might know this, when they get caught, if they don't suicide, a lot of them say, I wanted to kill myself. I just was too afraid. This uptick in just like random violence, it's like, it might be related to the fact that people are being driven in these two directions, not even realizing it, because they think the whole world's going crazy around them. And it's like, well, no, you are the world going crazy. Also,
doing a mass shooting is kind of like, I don't know how to describe this, but it is a very American response on how to treat violence, because it's like, we have a lot of guns in this country, more than people. We have more guns than people.
Oh, yeah.
And every country has like mass violent attacks, like they have suicide bombings or stabbings, but because we have so many guns and we have a culture around it, that's the reason why we have so many shootings. Meanwhile, in China or Japan, you'll have like mass stabbings, or famously in Japan, they had the sarin gas attacks on the subway. Mm-hmm. It was like this huge cult thing, but that was just their culture. I mean, they didn't really have access to guns, so they're not going to do something, but in the same human nature, among different culture groups, among different countries, they are still creating mass violence in some way. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter the tool that you use it. It's like still a common part of every human to just like want to cause mass chaos in some way. I don't know how you fix that.
I don't either. I actually wrote a paper about that in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was in a political science class, which happened November of 2016.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That must have been a great time.
Fall quarter. It was a really interesting time. I had just like with the psychology, I had a good teacher. He wasn't from Harvard, or at least claimed to be. But I had a good teacher, and he was a very. We both got along. We clicked very quickly because we were both. I'll just say it. We were both Bernie people.
Yeah.
Then when it became, I mean, at this point, when classes had started, it was like Hillary was the candidate. But when it became like it was, down to it, a few weeks left before the election, he was one of those people. He's like, Hillary needs to win. Trump is Hitler. And I'm like, hey, bro, I thought we both knew about the real reality of,
Yeah. I thought you were red pilled like me.
Yeah. And he just like immediately became like one of these, like, what do they call, it's like dogs get it when they bite people.
They get a taste for blood or something?
Yeah.
They have Trump derangement syndrome?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
He immediately became a Trump derangement syndrome guy. And I'm like, but you think that do you think the pedophile wife with 95 dead friends is a good? Yeah. And we like kind of diverged a little bit, but he had this assignment that he assigned around that time with like, a month left before. And the assignment was like, he gave you a take that you just had to like write in favor of. So you had to like, it was like a weird thing of like, he tried to give everyone like an opinion. You have to like find a way to argue that opinion basically in a paper. And the thing that he gave me was that like basically banning the sale of guns and rounding up all the guns you have would end violence in America. And it's like, well, obviously that wouldn't happen, but the idea is that you're going to have to research this topic and try to find a way to make that argument, I guess. It was kind of stupid.
Sure, it's like an exercise in like creative writing and also like a thought experiment. So I get why he wants you to do it.
I kind of got the feeling he was like bored and he's like, I'll come up with this like fun, because it's kind of a pointless exercise. But anyway, in doing my research, I found like I couldn't really find an argument for it, because like looking at statistics, it was like, yeah, there's a lot of gun violence, but there's also just a lot of like humans are just violent. Now, The best argument you can make is that a gun, if you have like a 20 round mag, you can kill 20 people in 20 seconds. Whereas if you have a knife, you have to go run up to 20 people. But people do that.
Yeah.
And he like didn't find my paper as like being valid because I kind of didn't really argue that point, because I kind of found evidence to the contrary.
Yes, it's like literally I tried to find it, dude.
And then he was being such a about it. And I told, because he talked about how he cried on election night, and I posted on Canvas. I said, by the way, like so-and-so cried or whatever, like I left like a really shitty comment. I did it in a veiled way. But
he saw it?
Well, probably.
Oh my God.
Like he encouraged us. He had these like topics he would post every week on Canvas? No, Canvas. Mm-hmm. He would have these topics he would post every week and like ask people to debate. And there was one that was about like, I don't even remember, something random. And I replied, I got really mad at him. So I started like shitting in the ice cream, these things. And I replied with an Alex Jones video about like Russian helicopters being piloted by aliens or something.
Oh my God. Damn. Yeah. Fuck. What a time to be a senior in high school.
Oh yeah.
That was quite the time.
Your teachers were apologizing, right?
Oh, fuck. Yes. I don't know if I talked about this yet. On election night, it was senior year. I was like 1 month shy of being able to vote. So I was just like, who cares? There's like a student entrance at my high school where like every guy who like parks their car walks in. There was like 3 teachers. It was all women, like Asian, black, and normal. And they had a sign that was just like, you are valid. And I walked in and they kind of like gave me like a clap or something. I was like, okay, what the fuck is this? Yeah. So I sat back and I kind of watched it. Every time a brown student walked in or somebody like in a hijab or like, you know, wearing one of those head wraps, they're like, yeah, woo! And it's just like, okay, first of all, and then like a white student would walk in and they'd be like, yay. And it's just like, okay, first of all.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the lamest shit ever. It's like, he's not going to behead you because you're brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of overreaction that people think they live in The Handmaid's Tale. They think they live in literally 1984, Brave New World. And it's like, that's not...
I'm sure. So I stay away from, I don't choose to watch anything political for like probably 5 years now. You know, like I see it, but I don't try to seek it out ever because it's like, I'm already going to hear about it and I don't care anymore. But I'm sure that if anyone listening, or maybe you have sought out any of this stuff, you've maybe heard this point, this might not be an original take. I don't know. It does feel like people cried so much wolf about the idea of what Trump would do when he was president that now that he is becoming like a literal like dictator,
yeah,
like this presidency is way worse than the first. Yeah. And the outrage during the first at like kind of nothing was like, I think it kind of like spent, like, it makes me wonder, like, do you think it was like a planned, I mean, you can't plan out. Well, you could actually if you controlled everything. Do you think it's like a planned thing of like, okay, we'll get like kind of like Hitler in there first, but we won't have him do anything.
Okay.
And then when he gets back in there, everyone will freak out when he's really doing stuff, but no one's going to care because they already cried wolf. You know what I mean?
It's like their attention span was so small that in the first one, or they used up all their energy that eventually they're just like, whatever, you can just...
The average person is like, yeah, I already heard all the Hitler rhetoric when my life didn't change, actually. So like now I'm going to ignore it when there really is shenanigans.
They're like, yeah, deport a Guatemalan to Africa. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually did that to that one famous guy.
A famous guy.
There was one guy who he said was like MS-13.
Yeah, but he didn't go to Africa. He went to like Argentina or something.
Well, he was going to get sent to Argentina, and then they were just like, all right, well, your lawyer said you're afraid of being sent to South America for some reason. We're going to deport you to Eswatini, which used to be Swaziland, which is in South Africa.
We're going to get your fucking head cut off.
And it's just like, he's Mexican, dude. Basically, what are you talking about? He's not going to speak black.
Yeah. Back to Kirk. I'm a Kirk head now.
You're a Kirk head?
I'm a Kirk head. Back to Kirk. I went on with my work day after watching some of the most shocking footage I've ever seen. Went throughout my day, got home. I think I had like 4 or 5 hours to kill before I had to pick up Victoria from work. Mm-hmm. And I was caught up on like work on this podcast. I had like nothing really to do. So I was like, I'm going to open Twitter and I'm going to engage with what's going on with this stay.
Brave.
One of the first things I see is a tweet from Sam Hyde that says, call this phone number, share your thoughts. And I texted you pretty quickly and I was like, I think I might have sent you the tweet, but I was like, hey, he's probably going to do an episode. Mm-hmm. And, Sam Hyde's now done, at the time of this recording, he's done 10 or 11 episodes of his show and he's played voicemails on a few of them. And I was like, hey, we should call and, say something and see if we can get on. Yeah. And I forget what you said. I think you were like, you have at it or something.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say. I was like, I really don't know what to say in this regard, but it's like, I like Sam Hyde. I've been watching him for probably since like
10
2016.
years.
Yeah.
A decade now.
And I like his stuff, but I was like, I really don't have anything intelligent to say. And you can think up some stuff better than I do. So I was just like, just have at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, cool. And I didn't really take any time to think about what I would say. I was just like kind of excited at the idea of like, he by the way, he had tweeted this like 1 minute ago. So I was like, if I call now, I'm getting in early. I'll be heard at least, know, because who knows how many thousands of calls are going to.
Thousands of incel rapists, white nationalists. Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah. Like us.
So I call and I left a message and, life goes on. And then like not 2 weeks. It was like a week later, maybe, or something like that. I see that it says Sam Hyde Show live, like the premiere. And I was like, oh, new episode. And it was all about Charlie Kirk. And him talking about it and that Ukrainian
Irina something. She's a Ukrainian refugee who got stabbed
the night before.
Yes,
violently.
Yeah.
And the whole episode is just about that and like violence and all this stuff. And then at the end, voicemail started playing, and I heard my fucking voice.
Yes, you got on. We are officially on the Sam Hyde show.
I should have mentioned your older brothers. I mean, honestly, it would have been corny if I did.
It would have been cut, maybe.
Probably. Or like you would have been like, fuck this guy. But like, what can I say? I am in a video that has been, I think it has like 2 million views or something at the time of this recording.
Oh yeah.
I'm a minor celebrity now. Sam and I are tight. We talk all the time. We fuck.
You're invited to the cookout.
I was invited to the Peanut Arbuckle cookout. And it was one of the coolest things. And I'm not like a diehard Sam Hyde fan. I'm actually kind of a new fan of his. I've known who he is for a while, but I only kind of recently actually like started going through all the stuff. Same with Whitest Kids, like just kind of a blind spot, but I was just like, holy shit.
And I remember when you said that, I was very happy for you, by the way. That's really cool that you got on there, genuinely. And I remember texting you. I'm just like, so we've both been on like very famous shows. And you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And Caleb didn't know, but I've technically been on NPR once. Back during the 2016 election, there was a girl at my school who worked for a local affiliate, I guess in some internship. And she was interviewing people about the election. And she was a good friend of mine. And she let me go on and say my word. And I think that played nationally once, but it played locally, I think, maybe a couple times. You can still listen to it if you want to find it. I don't know if I'll post this, actually. But you can maybe find my name if you search NPR and my name.
You sent it to me and I listened to it. You are pretty cogent for a, 17-year-old?
I was 17 years old. And I basically what I said was I think Hillary Clinton is untrustworthy. Yeah. And that was it. And I will say this. So everybody's name is kind of like, not explicitly said on the national syndication, which I heard, not the recording, which you can hear now, but the fucking lady says my full name and which school I go to because I had the audacity to say that a woman who covers up her like husband's rape victims is a bad person. Yeah. And she's like, that was Nicholas Hudson at beep high school. And I was like, okay, yeah, just go ahead and dox me, you fucking cunt.
And nobody else. Nobody else. No one else by name.
Nobody else.
Full name.
Everybody else was like a bleeding heart liberal who was just like, oh, I can't believe that he was mean to a woman. And it's like, really? It's like, come on. I don't like when women get raped. That's my problem. You fucking bitch.
Yeah.
You stupid bitch.
You're in it a few times. At least what I heard, I mean, maybe it played differently when it aired live, but the clip as it exists, you show up a couple times, but you're sandwiched between one girl saying something that she says like, and it gave me like PTSD nightmares of 2016. She's like, it's going to be weird adjusting to a society where it's illegal to exist. And that way she said exist, like I wanted to like drive a thumbtack through her.
The vocal fry is so frustrating.
That like, sorry, like that kind of like head tilt kind of way of talking, that smug fucking way of like hyperbolically making everything about you that everyone was doing then.
Yes.
I was like shaking.
It's that henpecking that like, Mean Girls did back in 2016. It was like, actually, we're going to vote for the good woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other, I was sandwiched by people who disagreed with me, which is fine, whatever. One thing that I think was really funny is there was a lady who interviewed her mom who was an immigrant from, I think, either Vietnam or Thailand. Mm-hmm. And if people don't know, a lot of like legal immigrants from Southeast Asia are pretty conservative because they understand the American concept or the American dream of like, I'm going to work hard. I come here legally. I work hard.
I earn my place.
People respect me, which is broadly true. Yeah. She interviewed her mom who like probably came over on the boat and like, and it took like weeks to get here. And her mom was like, oh yeah, I don't like Hillary Clinton. And then her daughter's being like, but mom, you can't. He's being like so mean to immigrants. It's like, I don't care. I come here legal. I come here legal. I do my job.
God bless the Thai, the Vietnamese, and all the other Chinese countries out there.
Dude, I fuck with Southeast Asia heavy, and I'm not even joking. All my friends are Filipino growing up, and they were like, they're all Catholic. They're all like conservative to sense because they're just like, why? Even, you know what's very funny? I talk to like conservative Filipinos. I'm just like, well, technically the Philippines has a large amount of gay people. The most in Southeast Asia, because, you know, like Thailand has the ladyboys, but Filipinos, you know, they have like, they have a lot of like gay dudes. And I asked my friend, who is a very conservative Christian, I was just like, what do you think about them? And it's like, well, we have the good gays. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, but that's their mindset. But anyway, yeah, Southeast Asians are very, they can be very conservative if they're, you know, fresh off the boat.
All the ones I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes back to that thing of like the conservative mindset, like divorced from politics, divorced from like parties. It's like the conservative mindset of like some people are just like, no, like there's a system. I adhere to the system. Yeah. Like that is a quote unquote like like the word has been bastardized, but that is a like conservative mindset. Like it makes sense that a lot of immigrants, especially from countries where it's really fucking hard and where you can do everything right and not get rewarded, which is what America is too. But to a lesser extent than maybe their home country. Like it makes sense why they are that way. It's really interesting. I don't know why this is. I'm sure you had the same experience. Like it's weirdly so easy for me to get along with like fascist immigrants. When you meet like, you know what I mean? Like those Korean shop owners that are just like
the rooftop Koreans.
Rooftop Koreans. That's right. When you meet those people who are like, if you steal a 5-hour energy, I will chase you down the street and put a bullet in your head. Like those kinds of attitude people, like it's weirdly easy because if you aren't going to steal, if you're going to follow the rules, like you're not going to have conflict with them. Those seem like the easiest people to talk to because you're like, oh, I can say anything. You're not going to get mad. You're not going to get mad for someone else. You know, like the idea of being offended. This probably sounds hack, but I really mean this. And I've been saying this since I was 14 years old. The idea of being offended at what someone says is like like being personally offended. Like I hear things that make me unhappy, but I'm not like trying to cancel the person who said it. You know, like the idea of being like personally offended and thinking that like people shouldn't be able to say things you disagree with is crazy. And the opposite end of the spectrum are rooftop Koreans.
Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, you stole a loaf of bread. It's I'm killing you right now.
A loaf of bread.
Oh, you stole a loaf of bread.
You stole a loaf of bread. You mentioned earlier that you were sandwiched between people who didn't agree with you.
Yeah.
I remember pretty well what you said in that clip. Everything that I remember, at least, that you said was correct. You said, I think people are overreacting. I don't think that much about this country is going to change because of the president. You're like, I think it's a lot more complicated. It's like who's in Congress, who's in the Senate. Like the power making authority in this country is not decided by this like Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's like, that is exactly accurate.
Yeah. I was just like, the president doesn't control how you feel in your life. So you need to grow up and take charge of your emotions, which is a pretty like level headed, like therapist.
Yeah.
Like probably what a lot of therapists were saying after, you know, November 2016, where it's just like, hey, control what you can control, you know? Yeah. I was trying to like be, you know, in the middle and be like, hey, you know what? I don't like that this woman defends rapists and also she kills all her opponents. I don't like the other guy either, but just, you know, she's probably worse politically because she's part of like, you know, this dynasty that has actually caused so many people harm. And then apparently I'm fucking Adolf Hitler Jr. for saying that.
There was a kid in that political science class I took who wore a MAGA hat, who got into it with that professor before the election, mentioned the Clinton death lists because it's real. Yeah. It is real.
It is real, man.
It is real.
It is real, see?
It is. Anyway, there was a kid in class who got into it with him mentioning the Clinton death lists, which I forget the exact total. Maybe there is no exact total, but roughly like at this point, like 100 or so people.
Yeah, like 90, 100, yeah.
Who are involved with them in some way or another have shot themselves in the head twice.
Yes. Or have decided like to just like, oh, I'm going to bench press like 400 pounds.
I'm going to bench press a samurai sword.
Yes.
Or I'm going to be mugged, nothing stolen, or whatever, you know. Yeah. And some kid mentioned, he said, I remember this so vividly. He said Clinton death list. And I remember that the second that 3-word phrase left his mouth, I remember my teacher was like, he did the hand up, like, we're not going there. And he was like, that's not based in evidence. That's not whatever. And I think he thought that he was like running a like class of who was vote. I think he thought that like his job was to make sure people voted the right way that election, you know, because he was like, we are not going to entertain. That's baseless conspiracy theory, this, whatever. And the kid goes, well, you're a political science teacher. And the guy's like, yeah. And it was so brilliant how he worded this because he got him to let him talk. And he said, well, you're a political science teacher, right? He's sticking his hand out. And the guy's like, yeah. And he goes, So you're not a math teacher and you can't talk to me about the statistic possibility of 95 of your friends committing suicide. I was like, oh, let's fucking go.
Hell yeah, dude.
So awesome.
Damn.
That kid, if you're out there, you rock.
Yeah, come on the pod.
You'll get a t-shirt.
Whoever you are.
Prove that you said that.
Yeah. Damn, that's based.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
That's best.
So bad, man.
Red pill.
On the topic of free speech, how much credence do you pay to Australian politics, Caleb?
You know, it's weird you say that because I get recommended all these fucking Australian news videos and I'm like, and they're talking about America. So maybe I just watched a video about a similar topic, but like, I'm like, why are they so involved in our shit?
It's very interesting. So in your mind, you would probably think of Australia as this kind of like, or I'd say the average person would, this like Wild West, like, they've just settled this island. They still have like all these wild animals and, you know, it's kind of like there's some civilization, but then you have the outback and it's like Crocodile Dundee, where it's just like some wild person could still like come to you and be like, that ain't a knife. So sorry to burst the bubble, but Australia is basically a surveillance state. Australia, during COVID, they would just have like anybody who's like walking outside, they would just like have the police track him down and be like, you need to get back in your house right now because it's COVID. It's like, well, I can't walk in my own fucking like woods. I can't walk on the beach. You're going to find me like 1,000 like kangaroo dollars for doing that. The thing I do want to talk about though, specifically, is they don't in England they have the BBC, which is funded by the public, and they have to be neutral because it's taxpayer funded, and you don't want some guy who's like, you know, left wing or right wing getting news that he doesn't want. He's like, I don't want to pay for this, which makes sense on a basic level. Australia, to the best of my knowledge, isn't like that. They have Sky News, which is basically their right-wing news. I wouldn't say it goes as far as Fox, but it is very biased. Much like how MSNBC here is insanely biased, and Fox also as well. So there was a show that was on Sky News called Freya Fires Up, which is a funny title, by the way. She was already a member of Sky News and was seen as like, you know, a right-wing kind of person, kind of in the same way as like anybody you see on Fox News now. Like, who's that guy, Jesse something?
I don't watch Fox News.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
I know Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity.
Let me just say, somebody like Sean Hannity, where it's like already like right-wing and, you know, a personality on the news station. She had a guest recently who goes by the name on Twitter as the Korean Scotsman, who I guess is a Korean guy who's from Scotland.
Okay.
Anyway, he comes on and he's wearing a dress shirt that has bacon around his neck. Now, maybe you know where I'm going with this, if you know anything about the state of UK politics. But he goes on, he's just like, right, I keep getting threats that I'm going to get beheaded, so I put bacon around my neck so that none of the muzzies come here and chop me head off. And you can see the lady is like visibly like, I don't know, man. After that episode, I think even during it, the Sky News execs are just like, you have to apologize for what that guy just said. First of all, in America, apologizing for something your guest said is unheard of.
On behalf of the guest?
On behalf of the guest.
Didn't Colbert do that? Well, whatever. He's not a news guy.
I mean, he's literally a Democrat talking piece at this point.
He's an agent. Yeah.
Yeah. But anybody who actually is like on a news station, I don't even think Anderson Cooper would do this. But they're just like, you have to apologize for it. So she's like, I'm sorry for what he said. He can't be saying that. And her show got canceled after something her guest said.
Did he say, I want to ask, because this is important, did he say muzzy?
No, I'm just doing my...
So did he say anything that was even could be considered a slur?
No, he didn't drop any of the letters.
That's nuts.
I've seen the clip, and he didn't say anything like specifically, but it's like, it's one of those things that made me just appreciate being an American, because it's like, we can be just... It's like, we don't just have our show taken off the air because our guest said something bad. It's like, even like, you know, if there's outrage, there's still something where it's like, you have the right to say that. And if we can your show, you're going to sue us for $1 billion at that point. So I wanted to just kind of like bring this to the attention of the American populace or listening populace. It's like, be glad that you live here, because you can have your show taken off the air from what your guest says. She didn't want him to say that. She was visibly uncomfortable that he had 2 uncooked slices of bacon taped around his neck. You can find it online if you guys don't believe me, but
yeah, that's fucking. Well, I mean, if there was a concern, I forget, was it Texas? There was that place where they're like, we're gonna have a Draw Muhammad contest.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah. If it's something like, or there was that newspaper or magazine in Paris.
Oh, Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah. If it's something like that, where it's like we have a concern that like we're literally going to be like targets of these fucking savage extremists. If we like, and by the way, when I say savage, I mean the act is savage. I'm not saying
like an actual guy blowing himself up or running people over with a van.
Cutting someone's head off is a savage act.
Yeah.
That do. And if the idea was like, okay, we're going to be targets, we have to like disavow before we get killed, then okay, fine. But it's not like that's what's going to happen from saying I got bacon around my neck to keep the Muslims away or whatever. And also, if you're Anderson Cooper, let's say, you know, and unless you have Mel Gibson on your show saying the N-word, there's no reason you need to apologize on behalf of the audience for what your guest did. There's really no reason for it. And then if you do have Mel Gibson on there screaming the truth, unless that's the moment, you don't have to apologize for what someone said, even if what they said is like objectively offensive. And, you know, you could argue that to a like observant, rational Muslim, yeah, maybe it is offensive, or maybe it is just like it's a crude thing to have the bacon around your neck. So maybe you might want to say like, and we do not condone the thing. But you wouldn't fucking do that if you had a Satanist on talking about how he, you know, defiles crosses. Yeah. Maybe you wouldn't have him on again. Maybe you'd release a statement, like a written statement that no one's ever going to see. You wouldn't cancel the show for that. That's just like, who's even carrying water in Australia for the fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, why do they feel the need to be nice to the exploding people? Like, probably because they're going to get exploded, I guess. But
yeah,
it is this weird, like, limp-wristed thing that I hate about people who on the surface defend free speech, where it's like they're probably just like, oh yeah, you can say anything on Sky News, you can do whatever, and then they're just like anything that is like actually offensive. Because I mean, like countries like the UK, we were talking about this earlier, some guy posted on Facebook, fuck Hamas, and he got 6 months in prison. That is unbelievable. Yeah. That is unbelievable in a free society.
A terrorist organization.
Not even fuck Muslims.
Not fuck Palestine.
Not fuck Palestine. Fuck a terrorist organization that actually, like, even Palestinians aren't fully on board with.
That they're in a hostage situation with.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like Palestinians support Hamas. It's like, well, you would support the man with a gun in your mouth too.
Yeah, I guess if the other side is Jews killing you and your side is like, we will try to protect you, it's like, well, I guess I'll side with Hamas, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not much of a choice in there. Yeah, I'm glad we're not Australian.
Yeah, me too. All of their best actors come here. What does that tell you?
That's true. Yeah.
So did you see this news about how Richard Dreyfuss got ill?
No, I haven't.
This is quite a subject.
I don't even know about this. I really don't.
Sometimes it's really fun. So I recently got a new computer. I'm now a Mac guy. But on a Windows computer, as you know, if you drag your mouse to the corner, there's that little news feed that pops up, you know. And
yeah, which sucks.
It's no, it doesn't suck. Here's the thing, Nick. Here's the fucking thing. The thing with the news is that, like, the Microsoft News, is that what that is?
Sure. Oh, MSN. Yeah, that's what MSN stands for. Microsoft.
Oh.
Yeah, MS. Yeah.
That's not MSNBC. When people say MSN for short, they're talking about that.
I think Microsoft technically, we might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure MSN specifically is Microsoft News.
Huh. Okay. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
That news feed is not bad. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing, Nick. That news feed is actually really good because if there's breaking news, if there's like really important news, it will be on one of those like 11 things at the top that you can arrow through. And what you're also going to get are news articles from like 2 years ago.
Oh, great.
So you'll get like old news back in the cycle. I swear to God, Nicholas, I saw something that said Alan Arkin passes away at 90, whatever. And I'm like, didn't he die like 2 years
ages ago? Yeah.
But you'll get news that's like insanely old, but it reminds you of stuff you might not have realized. Like James Caan was another one. Like you'll see stuff where it's like, rest in peace, James Caan. It's like,
wasn't that half a year ago?
Didn't he die like 20 years ago? But sometimes you'll get articles because it sources from, everywhere. It's not just the quote unquote accredited.
It's an aggregator,
but it's an aggregator of everything. So you'll see like a headline where you're like, what? And then it says like the source is like jewynews.com. Whatever. It's going to be like just crazy shit. This was one of the headlines. Jaws star Richard Dreyfuss cancels Shark Con appearance after being hospitalized with deadly viral illness.
He's going to fucking Shark
Con. I love everything about that. And the picture, by the way, is like, it's Richard Dreyfuss, modern Richard Dreyfuss, who, if you don't know what he looks like, just picture like a fat, old, weird looking white haired man, in like a suit jacket. And it's just him sitting like with like one eye. He looks drunk in the photo. It's just like a badly timed picture. But I loved everything about it because it's like, what has his life become? He was in one movie in 1975. 50 fucking years ago, Nick.
Yeah.
He's in a movie 50 years ago that he's now going to Shark Con to like sign like Jaws posters for. And he had to cancel because he has a deadly illness. And Richard Dreyfuss also is like crazy. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
He's very like mentally ill. I forget what his issue is, but he has something that's like, it's like a real, not that I just call mental illness being crazy. I mean, like, no, he is crazy.
Okay.
Like Mickey Rooney, he's crazy, kind of. He did an appearance on Bill Maher on his podcast.
Oh, fuck, yeah. His awful
Club Random.
Yes.
And he was like falling out of his chair the whole time.
Oh,
it's
that's
iconic.
him.
That's
yes.
Richard Dreyfuss. And he wrote a book called like, it has like it's called We Teach Our Children the Things We Want Them to Know, and We Don't Teach Them the Things We Don't Want Them to Know. I swear to God, that's the title of his book.
Rolls off the tongue.
Rolls right off the tongue. And he was talking about like incest, and he's like, well, every man wishes he could have sex with his sister, and he has a sister. What? And he's like, yes. And it's one of the best interviews of all time. And like, he's just, And I just love the idea that he's on like a ventilator. He's like, I can't go to Shark Con.
He's like, fuck, he's slamming his fist into his hospital bed. Dude, where does Shark Con even take place? Is it like fucking like Miami?
Ocean,
Atlantic City?
It's on an oil rig in the Pacific.
Not even in the continental U.S.
But that's major. And by the way, and here's the other thing. I clicked on it and it was like news from a year ago.
That sucks. We could have gone to his hospital bed and be like, Richard, we loved you.
And I just pictured some guy who's like, fuck, he's not going to be at Shark Con.
I was looking forward to it.
And then sees that it's a year old and he's like, oh, he might be there this year, though.
Oh, this year, maybe he got better.
He's like, is there one person, Nick, who saw that headline and thought anything besides his family?
Who has a Google alert for Richard Dreyfuss?
Anytime Richard Dreyfuss and Shark Con are mentioned, I get an alert. I get an email.
Some guy has an alarm going off in his mom's basement for Shark Con and Richard Dreyfuss.
He has his tickets. He has his shark costume.
Dude, those fucking when they sign shit for you at those cons, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know actually, if you want a personal one, it's cheaper? Do you know about this?
No.
Yeah. So why would you think it would be cheaper?
Well, because you can't sell it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, people go and be like, for example, like Mark Hamill, these aren't his prices. I'm just, making an example, but, to get like his copy of, Star Wars, signed, it's like $400 if you just want Mark Hamill. But if you want like 2 Nick and Caleb, your podcast is cool. I condone everything you're saying and I respect you as an equal. Sign Mark Hamill. That's like $100.
Yeah.
And you do get to do a meet and greet, and he has to meet a lot of people, so he has to make it worth his while. I get that. And he's, he was a star for one of the most famous franchises in history.
Yeah.
I get that. But it's kind of funny that they've recognized the thing where it's like, you're just going to sell this. So that's why signature signed things are very expensive now, is because stars, like if Bruce Campbell is just like, yeah, it's $200 for me to sign your copy of Evil Dead 2. And then the signed copy of Evil Dead 2 is $300. That's why. Yeah. Because they understand it. Don't buy signed copies. You can get it signed. You can buy a copy, get it signed by him at a convention and personal for cheaper. Don't buy this shit on eBay. That's just a scam.
I would love to see one of these wash-ups at a convention. I've never gone to a con because I have a life. But if I did find myself there, I would love to see like Richard Dreyfuss and be like, hey, like, can you sign like this like wristwatch? Like I wouldn't have a Jaws thing, but I'm like, you know, like, hey, can you sign this copy of like The Goodbye Girl and make it out to Kayla or whatever? And he's like, oh, sure. That'll be like 150. I'd be like, fuck, I'm not paying 150 for your fucking signature. I'm doing you a favor right now, but I'm paying you for your shitty name. Like I would love to get in an argument with him and have to get like removed by security. You know,
that would be great.
I'd love to call him and get like removed and get in a fight.
Did I ever tell you what my aunt does with those?
With signed memorabilia?
More like meeting celebrities, but for her Christmas card every year, she goes to conventions all the time, and you know, she likes Star Trek and stuff. So she'll get like a photo with like Patrick Stewart or like William Shatner, or she got one with who's the guy from Back to the Future?
Christopher Lloyd?
No, the younger one. Who played Marty?
Parkinson's McParky?
Yeah.
McParky song?
Parkman. She'll get photos with them, and that will be her Christmas card, where it's just like, wishing you like, you know, happy.
Michael J. Fox. I almost said Parkinson Fox.
Parkinson J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Sorry.
Yeah. No, she'll get photos of all of those, and it's like her, and she's like, hey, you know, here's what I did this year. And that is cool. That is a cool Christmas card because I've never seen that before. And it's like, you know what? Honestly, if you're going to conventions, you get a photo for yourself. You get two birds, one stone. It's cool.
Sure.
She'll get signed stuff. You know. It is very funny because I talked to a guy. I went with her to a convention to get the Michael J. Fox photo, and Bruce Campbell was there. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have anything for him to sign, so I didn't want to wait in line. But I was talking to some guy who's like, yeah, I met like Bruce Campbell at like the last convention, and he was just kind of chilling. And I'm like, would you sign this? He's like, sure, kid. And he just signed it for free. Honestly, if you meet them and you're just nice, they'll be like, fucking whatever. It's just money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going there to get paid, and it makes sense, you know. But they honestly, a lot of the time, if you just meet them randomly, they'll be like, yeah, sure, I don't care. If you're nice. So that's the secret. Get there early and try to schmooze.
I've never met a celebrity except Sam Hyde. Actually,
he met is kind of a strong word there.
He's heard me. Hey, listen. He thought that what I said was valuable enough.
He did. He did agreed with you. He did agree with you.
And I wanted to mention this too. Well, not that I wanted to mention this, but I guess I can mention this because this might be interesting to the listeners or you.
Okay.
So I've been featured on not just one show, Mr. Nick, but the first time I was featured on a show did not go well.
Really?
Yes. I was featured on, I don't know if I want to name it. I'll tell you off mic.
Okay.
There was a show that I was a fan of for a decent amount of time and would take write-in stuff. And I wrote in a thing and I got on the show. And it was a really minor. It was just like, tell me your thoughts, like talk about this topic. And the person was like, so-and-so says, talk about this thing, whatever. And I was like, hey, that's neat. But they said my name for a second. But then I sent in a more specific one once where it was kind of a joke and it was kind of an inside joke where if you were a fan of the show, you would get the bit where it kind of like, if you didn't have any context, it would read as kind of like it maybe insulting. Cause it's like, well, I'm not surprised at all that you missed this, but the quote unquote not being surprised thing was a frequent running joke on this show that the people on the show would say to each other.
Okay.
So it seemed like very tame and like it would be taken that way. The person who read it had a very negative reaction and then called me out by name and then was like, you fucker, and then the live comments on the YouTube video were like, fuck Caleb.
Whoa.
This Caleb guy sucks. And I was watching it. I was like, oh my God.
Like my life is over.
I'm not trying to be a bitch here, but I haven't like really enjoyed that ever. Like that was like a moment where I was like, wow. They are not, because I thought these guys were cool.
Yeah.
And they just like flipped the fuck out on me. And they were like mad. Like the main guy was like mad and just like lampooned me for, and like, it wasn't my full name they read at least, but it was just a thing of like, I just felt hurt. I was like, I thought that you guys were cool. Like if I was you and someone had sent in, if we had like a running bit about whatever and someone like, I'd be like, that's funny.
Yeah. And
it was just such a bad thing that I was like, ooh. And when my voicemail started playing on the Sam Hyde show, I had a deep fear. I was like, what? Because sometimes he plays those and he's like, no, idiot, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this, by the way, the show that this first thing happened with, 20K views, maybe. Very small show.
Yeah.
This is the same.
7 million.
I was so afraid. I was like, oh my God, what if he fucking, and then he actually responded to my thing longer than most of the other ones.
The guy before you
really gave it like
the guy before you, he talked for like 15 seconds and it was just like whatever, but he actually gave you a response. So, Caleb, a couple months ago, there was a big news story of a foreign truck driver driving a driving a semi-truck, or a tractor trailer, as some call it, from the wonderful subcontinent of India, who decided in his infinite wisdom, with Vishnu's blessing, to do a U-turn on the highway.
A slow U-turn.
A slow U-turn on the highway from the outer lane, which, I mean, you're a truck, so I guess you have to, but he decides to do this, and a family of 3 or 4 crashes into him because obviously you're not prepared for a truck to just fucking do a U-turn on the highway in the area that only cops are allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, people do it, but it's like, you're a truck. Just take the next exit.
Your car takes up every lane on the freeway.
Yes.
On like a 4-lane road.
Exactly.
And you're going from the far lane. You didn't pull over on the left lane and then slowly crawl. No, you just U-turn.
Yes. It's very third world brand.
Yeah.
So this driver does that. Family just absolutely crashes into them. Not their fault. Dies. Probably very horribly. And there's dash cam footage of this driver being like, huh. He's very apathetic. I don't know if you've seen it.
His face doesn't move. He just looks. He's like, oh.
Somebody died.
Right, keep going forward.
And this is a very like third worldism that happens even in China, India, parts of Africa where it's like, oh, somebody died. They don't value human life.
Yeah.
If somebody like crashed into my car, I'd be like, holy fuck. Like I would be very
Your life is over.
I'd be like, what happened? Did I do something? Like I would be panicking. I would. So this is very tangentially related to what I was going to talk about, but people are realizing there are a lot of truck drivers in the United States that are foreign-born that kind of get CDLs very easily and can just do this stuff. Did you know, Caleb, that you can get what we call in Washington State a real ID? Where it basically acts as, a lot of us drive up to Canada, it acts as like a passport, where basically it's
I
like
had to get one to fly to Chicago.
Yes, you need it to fly now, but it's basically like, confirms you are like a citizen of the United States in theory. If you are a foreigner and get a CDL, you can get in California, and I think Illinois, but maybe New York as well, a real ID or their equivalent. But you can also get something on there that says first name or last name unknown. Now, this was something that appeared in the news that I wanted to talk about because at first everybody's like, wait, you can get a real ID but not give your first name? And this was not the driver in that situation I'm talking about, but it led to a thing of like
awareness
of just like, really, there are a bunch of like, Rajendahars driving around like crashing into people.
Jetinder.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually clear the air on this because at first I was just like, that's insane that you can get an ID but not give your first name. What it actually means, to set the record straight, is some countries do not have the first name, last name system that Western countries do. One of the big things that happened is when the Taliban took over Kabul in a day because the Afghan National Police are an army of actual fucking pedophile and I will stand by that. Seriously. They're the dumbest fucking race of like soldiers I've ever seen. It's unbelievable how bad they are. When all the translators came over here on that one plane, some of them fell off onto the tarmac. When they came over, a lot of them had a problem where they don't technically have a first name, last name. They have like their personal name and like their village name, or a lot of like equivalents. This happens a lot in Africa and also like Central Asia specifically being like Afghanistan, Pakistan. So they'll get a license that says FNU or LNU, which is first name unknown, last name unknown. And then it'll be like FNU Mohammed Bajindahar or something like that. So I also had a realization where it's like, are we not just making like immigrants to our country just like take a real name anymore?
Yeah.
Because think about like all the people who had their names changed on like Ellis Island or something. It's like, hey, what's your first name? And it's like, it's like some Hungarian gypsy name or something like that. And it's just like, well, first of all, choose a real name, you fucking oily bastard. But are we just not doing that anymore?
Yeah.
Pretty much like a lot of races have a first name, last name system.
Yeah.
Like Russia.
A lot of races.
Okay.
A lot of countries.
Sure. Ethnicities have a system that's civilized where they have real names.
Countries that have
they don't have.
You can't say there's some races that have real names.
I can say whatever the fuck I want, by the way. Most countries have systems where you at least have a first and last name. Russia has like a weird like thing where it's like your dad's name is like your middle name and then something like that. But there is at least like a first, middle, last. Most countries have this.
Korean, it's inverted.
Correct. And then Japanese also, like, they say their first name last name first, and all that stuff. Are we just like ignoring this now? Are we just letting like any person just lie about their name?
I mean, I would based on the information you're saying, I would guess. And it's probably like, it probably goes deeper than that of like, because you said if you have a CDL, you can get the real ID without the.
Yes.
How the fuck do you get a CD? I thought you need an ID to get a CDL. How do you get a CDL without having an ID to start with?
This was the thing. Apparently, like, people in California are just getting like real IDs, but they're just not citizens. Their first name unknown. It's like when you naturalize as a U.S. citizen, like, are we just not making you take like a first name, last name anymore?
I don't know.
That's kind of alarming of how lax we are in the modern day with how much terrorism is around, that we can just allow somebody to be like, oh, my name is first name unknown, Muhammad.
There's an well, fuck. Let me restate this. It'll have to, the name will be censored, but I even can't even say that because that'll pin it down if someone were to hear this. I know someone whose name is
What the fuck?
3 separate words.
What the fuck?
First, middle, last.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And when I met her, another person who was also meeting her was like, so what's your last name? And she's like, and he's like, and so like, these are separate names. This is like, you know,
Yeah.
It was this thing of like, we don't really know how to ask this question because she just was staring at us like, yeah, say something, white boy, that I can go, you know?
Yeah. Something to go to HR about.
Very strange.
It's like your parents were just uncreative.
Yeah.
That's crazy, by the way, to have a name like that. We don't need to censor this. I went to school with a kid named Muhammad, and he is literally the dumbest person I've ever met.
Is he inbred?
Probably.
A lot of them. I'm not being racist.
Yes.
There's a lot of fucking Middle East.
Statistically, yes, because of first cousin marriages, there tends to be a problem with inbreeding. Kind of like how pugs are now. How they have...
Really funny now.
I can't even get through that. But yeah, no, he was probably the dumbest person I've ever met. And it's like, he was a mouth breather, had a fucked up head. Just like, it was over for him. Yeah, just so fucked up. With first generation Pakistanis, a very conservative estimate for how many are like the result of first cousin marriages is like 37%, which is really high. It might be higher. That's a conservative estimate. That's even by the people who don't want to be racist in the UK because you get thrown in prison for thinking bad thoughts there. But 37 is a conservative estimate for Pakistanis specifically, and they have a lot.
In England or London?
England. That's a lot.
That's like 5% of England.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Or more.
London is also very brown at the moment, but that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, you know, it's bizarre that that's still a problem because even like in the dark ages, like Habsburgs and everything, they were outliers that they were inbreeding so much. People back then were just like, well, I've noticed that when I marry my first cousin, my kid comes out with a waterhead. So I need to not do that next time. I need to like marry, and eventually they figured out second cousin is pretty much like the metric of like second cousin.
What's the cutoff?
Yes.
They're like reaching for relatives. Like, which one can I impregnate?
They were scientists. They were just like, honestly, you know what? I've done the control group. If I fuck my sister, my baby comes out all messed up. But if I fuck my third cousin, we're good. So it has to be somewhere in the middle.
Aren't there more people to choose from? I mean,
I guess not in your hamlet, in your like little village that keeps getting bombed. I guess there's only so many women that have all their limbs left.
Oh my God.
This is getting a little...
Well, that's the news.
That's the news, folks.
That's the first segment of Your Older Brothers Present the News.
If this episode doesn't get banned, we might do this again. But I don't know.
I sense some editing in the future. Minor, you know, I think we can get away with most of this if we're strategic about this.
Most of it is actual fact.
Most of it's fact, and most of the jokes are tame enough.
Yeah.
But whatever. We hope that you've enjoyed your time with us as your anchors. We are your guides through this nightmare hellscape that we all live in. And hopefully we made it feel a little less scary. Hopefully we illuminated things you really should be scared of, like Indian CDL drivers. So if you see a semi, on the road, stay to his right.
I turn red now, you bloody bastard. Give me Google Play code, or I turn red now.
If you see a semi, pull over, put on your hazards, wait until he's out of view, then get back on the road. He's far enough ahead of you, and go under the speed limit so that you don't catch back up to him. I'd say that's fair.
That's pretty fair.
Avoid all Indians. No, avoid all semi-truck drivers.
Never relax.
Yeah.
Real ones know what that means. If you'd like to send us some more news, go to yourolderbrothers@gmail.com. Send us a news story. We'll maybe talk about that in the future if we haven't been beheaded by Muslims or Indians. Or
if your neighbors haven't taken revenge from what they're hearing through the walls right now.
Exactly. Your Older Brothers podcast on Instagram and TikTok. On X, we are you are Older Brothers.
Subscribe for extra episodes every Monday at patreon.com/yourolderbrothers, or sign up through the app. We have a lot of great stuff over there. Some of our best episodes, according to some of our listeners, are on the premium feed, so they don't call it premium for nothing. And some of our longer episodes, in fact, a lot of our longest episodes are on the premium. So if you want to hear a lot more conversation on all of your favorite topics like skull size.
We do go in deep on phrenology, which is a proven science, by the way.
This isn't going to look good with the episode that comes out 5 weeks after this. If you remember.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Thank you to all our patrons who have already subscribed. We appreciate you a lot. And if you are a patron, feel free to send us an episode suggestion. We are already doing one. One is in the works. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you and good night, you bloody bastard.
This is Caleb Linder.
This is Nick Hudson.
Signing off.